Leka Hattori made an unexpected leap from a successful culinary career, cooking for stars like Tom Cruise and the royal family, to leading NASA's Space Apps Challenge. She's the CEO of Space Terra Hub and the local lead for NASA's Space Apps Challenge, an analog astronaut and TEDx speaker. Passionate about accessible education, Leka encourages educators to mentor the next generation, nurturing creativity and innovation for a better future.
Welcome to the series Women of Space. And with each episode, every episode gives me a new surprise. And this episode is no exception either. It is my pleasure to interview Leka Hattori, who started her career as a culinary expert, and she has cooked for stars like Tom Cruise. And from cooking to cooking something very interesting in the space industry. Oh my God, not only the space industry, but each and every woman of space industry that I have been interviewing in the series is full of surprises. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Well, I think I can say that by this, on my own history, is that space is for everyone. It's open.
Absolutely.
It's open to everyone.
Absolutely. And this question is not going to be a secret anymore, because a person like me who is not from a space industry, how can they become part of the space industry? I think that is more so becoming the motto of the series. Leka, once again, welcome. So like we started your introduction, which was the striking thing for me, how it began from you're showing your culinary skills to Tom Cruise, to working with NASA Space App Challenge, and now you are the CEO of Space Terra Hub. How is the journey and how is the transformation?
Yeah, it's amazing. They call here in Brazil from the kitchen, from pilot to the fire to pilot rocket. But it all happened because when I decided to stop my chef career here in Brazil, I stopped to look what is going on in this world, and it was by 2017. And so startups, innovation, all this was like from the Silicon Valley, all these were all about over the world. And I stopped to see what is this study from the Silicon Valley on my own. And my brother-in-law just showed me, oh, there is this hackathon from NASA. I know you like space. Why you don't give a try? So I applied for the NASA Space Apps Challenge, which is the biggest and the pioneer hackathon in the world from the open innovation from NASA. And I was accepted and become a local lead in 2018. And so that's how I moved from the kitchen to NASA. And from this, being a local lead from NASA Space Apps Challenge, which is amazing, I've been, developing, and I could act into the space industry. So it was through the hackathon that I started all this in space, and it's been amazing, but I had put so much energy studying connections to get where I am now.
Wonderful. Leka, usually in this series, I ask this common question to all the women of space, that what is that one challenge being a woman or as a woman you faced during your journey? With you, I want to ask that what is that one moment of joy that you felt that, only as a woman I can experience this? Of course, you're free to share a challenge as well.
Right. And that's how I was considering by the NASA organization a different kind of local lead for their event. It's because by the first year in 2018, I decided, okay, there are so many things that made the woman and the young woman especially apart from the tech, from the innovation. So I decided to use the NASA Space Apps Challenge as a way to promote gender equity. So what I done in 2018 was half of the vacancies for my participants, and we are talking about 75 vacancies. I decided I will fill in with women. Doesn't matter that I would have, as usual, more men interested in participating in the event. I will put it 75 women. 2018, I couldn't achieve to the 75 women in the event, in the hackathon. I think we done 65, 63. Anyway, it was like 47, 45% of the hackathon, they were women. 2018. So when we done that, and then NASA, after the hackathon went well, NASA said, okay, how did you do that? I told them, and they said, can you help us foster gender equity in the hackathon? Yes. And to start with, I video record for the bootcamp, the international bootcamp for the following year, 2019. I record just a bootcamp telling the woman, come to this hackathon. Come that Artemis is the next mission that's gonna put us in the moon. So come with us. And it was amazing. That's how I started. I use all that I have went through as a woman in the business sector, even as a chef. And I had the chance to use the hackathon of NASA to foster gender equity. They recognize me. And from there, and I always talk with all the new local leads, how they can do best practices to do that, even not only for the Brazilian cities, but all over the world. The cities I try to foster the local leads to do the same, to use the hackathon to foster. And this is very interesting, and we got like always gender equity in our event, and that's how I got some recognition for this as well.
You talked about inclusivity. Let's talk about diversity. You have shown keen interest in solar energy, farming, and farmers. Let's put it together, and I want to understand the story behind it.
Yeah, it's so many different things, right? And one of the things that now I'm realizing is that without the space technologies, we will not going further. And especially like come from a small town in the countryside of São Paulo state, which is a very rich state in Brazil and even in the world. We have the farms, and I had a chance to learn, and we have a solar farm in our small property here, which solar farm, solar panels from ISS, and suddenly it all made sense in my mind how the sun that we even studying more now, able to get more data from, is related to our, and even when I was a kid, it's so related to the agriculture, to the farms, to even when I was a chef, cooking all the food. And in the end, the energy, the electricity, whatever, comes from the sun. And now we have the electric cars and all this going on. And why we took so long to realize this? And this is really making all this, now it all makes sense in my mind from what my background, from being in these small farms, to this going to space and all that's going on, even outside from our galaxy or whatever. It's all about how we're gonna put in use what we are learning from space. And when we can do that, everything makes more sense, and we're gonna do things better with using less resource. So I hope I had answered your question, but this is how it's in my mind, how it's all makes sense now.
Absolutely. So, Leka, would you like to elaborate this with some example, some easy examples so that everybody can understand who are not from the space industry?
Right. One of the other things that I can thinking about now, especially from the farms, is how to get connections. Because sometimes in farms, you don't have internet connections, or even the machines that are, the crops and everything, IoT. And I experienced that because we don't have connections as normal from the 5G or 4G on this place in the small farms, and it's all over some regions in Brazil and in the world. So you can get satellite connections to access internet. And this is also something that I think the space technologies is helping, but not everyone to understand that to have the satellite connections, you have to launch satellites. And these satellites or nano satellites are space. Even Uber, when you call a Uber, I've been telling this all the time. Uber is not only a transport or whatever company. No, Uber is space because without the data from the satellites, you don't get your Uber on your door. So this is,
Absolutely,
I think, the key.
that's a very fantastic example. And you also talked about the digital divide, that there are spaces and places where you do not have 4G and 5G, and that's where the satellite really helps. On that note, we all know that there is the need of private players or private exploration in the space industry itself. You gave the example right now. Give me one example that how private players are helping the coming future through investing in the space industry. Also, the second part of the question is that do you find anything wrong or anything objectionable which you would like to address that which can hurt also private players being in the space industry? Both the examples, one which is helping and one which is might hurt also.
Right. First of all, I think we in the space segment, we need to understand that for innovation, tech, and we being part of this, because what I think is we not the hurt is space segment cannot be apart from what's going on the innovation and technology ecosystem. So saying that for the private ones is we need to deal with all this government that's being and still the biggest play on the space segment. But we need to understand that innovation, tech, and getting all this moving forward that we need is to have everyone working for the same purpose, which is to become the space more accessible for everyone, even for the private players. So far, what I've been doing in Brazil is also educating the business segment, how they can get into the space industry, because it's not only about launch the rockets. This is what we've been seeing in the media, but they are so, the more important is what is behind of the data. How can we use this? How this private company as well can foster new business or even made it their own business better. Especially in Brazil, we have a very special place to launch rockets. Of course, as a nation, we should look to this because this can become an income for the country. And private companies can come and operate here. The launches made in rockets. So we need to wake up for this as a way to foster incomes for us. What I've been saying as well is for private companies is like, what's going to happen to your own business if you don't understand what's going on the space industry, how the revolution is coming? Like, it's not AI only. It's more about this. When we going to leave the computers for the AI that, they need resources that we don't have this resource in Earth. We know that. So attention to this. All the private business need to be attention to this. And when they are awake for this, they even can create space business, new space business. And as well as they have to talk with the governments and the laws and everything, they will be involved on the space segment for the policy, for whatever we are doing now. So they have to wake that space is everywhere, is for everyone, but they need to get attention to this. And they can do very good business because it's a very profit market.
On that note, just explain us. We all know what an astronaut is, but what is an analog astronaut?
Wow, this is very, I answered that many times because this is another thing I've been saying to the youth. If you dream or want to be an astronaut, now you can, because of the private companies. Maybe a decade ago or even more than that, you couldn't. You have to go for, military or even for those hard skills careers. But now private companies are looking for astronauts. And analog astronaut is a way of starting this. So as we can do whatever course we want, we can go for singing. If you want to be a singer, you can go for actress class if you want to act. If you want to go to be an astronaut, you can do a course as an analog astronaut, because when we have the analog habitats, which is pretty much like we have in the States in the Utah desert, our habitats are placed similar to space space habitat. For example, Mars, those very dry and basaltic rock. So you go there and you can do training. You go to this analog habitat and you can train on your own, paying for this kind of course. Okay, it's pretty much the same what the astronauts from the NASA or other space agency do. But they do during NASA, during the government program. But you can do it in your own, invest in yourself. So when you go for any private company to apply as an astronaut, you already have some training. You already have some knowledge. And this is how it's going to make a difference for those that are looking for this kind of profession. So you can do by your own now. So I done 2 missions here in Brazil, and I'm really looking forward to do some more in the other analog space analogs that are doing this course. Even in NASA, they have some training as well, and it's amazing how you learn and how it's changed your mindset as well.
Wonderful. That's very intriguing. And like you said, that so let's extend this, that somebody like me, although I'm not a young girl, I'm the mother of a young girl, but let's say a young girl, how can the space industry can no more be a science fiction for her, but a real future? Just give us some easy steps.
Well, especially, of course, there always the science fiction and everything, but first, and this is what I'm doing as a business, go into the education on the base, on the middle schools, high schools, and telling them, right, Uber depends on satellite data. TV depends on satellite data. If you go and you buy, you pass your credit card, touch, it's rely on satellite data. So, and I'm not only talking, if they see like the autonomous car or the drones, the autonomous drones, they rely on the satellite. Once they understand that, they can understand that what is a satellite, and they will realize that there is something up here that impact their life on Earth. Of course, if they play the games, they know how this game universe, it's already in there. So we just need to realize to the youth. And once they know that, we need to explain to them that this is an industry, this is a segment you can work not only as engineering, not only as a space engineer, but you can do whole things in the space industry. It's the same, and then I told just a couple days ago, young people that want to be a doctor. I said, listen, what do you think about these little cameras that are going inside our body now and doing all the operation, or even the mechanical robotics arms, they are doing this operation? Where do you think they are coming from? They are all coming from the space discovery technologies and all this. So when we made this start, when they made these connections, the young, they know. And for example, yourself, even doing this, interview people from space or working in the space segment, I think you never thought you would do this as well, because this was so far away, because the people from the space segment, they were like top secret or NASA astronauts and all this government stuff. So even yourself, your own story says, okay, I work with this and I never realized I would doing this service for the space industry. And this is the case. It's pretty much myself as well. And this is the thing, space is open. We need to talk as much as possible for the people to realize everyone can be a part, even being an astronaut. We just had like Kate Perry flying through space, and this is wow. So it's just to say to them, we can. And we're gonna see a woman stepping into the moon next year or soon, I think. Next year, I hope. I mean, and this is gonna change. And one question I always make to the people, if we had the class from that teacher that flew on the challenge that just exploded on the liftoff had been happened from the space, do you think we're gonna be same as we are today? Or we already would be in Mars or whatever planet? So it's about this. It's not because that explode and stop that we had to stop thinking about or understand about it, apart from whatever is going on with the governments and things. And this is how the new space is going, and the privates are coming more and more and more.
Leka, with that, we come to the end of this interview, but any question that you would have wanted me to ask you from the space industry or from your own experience as a participant in the app challenge, or any app that you found very exciting, any app idea that you found very exciting, or from your journey of educating young people and be a mentor, any specific thing that you would like to share?
This going and talking to the youth, I realized that even the teachers and the people that work for the public government in all the sections, they need this education. They need someone, and this is what I'm doing, because I learned from on my own, all my reading from the NASA data things. So to explain to them. So now I realize that it's not only going for the young people, the teachers of these young people. For example, They need to understand, for example, in the math or in the physics or biology. For example, in biology, how the body human would be in a space, and they need to bring this to their classroom. It's not about having teachers talking about space. We need to put space into the education, and we need to put space into the public sector. Not just to tell them, your data center will be always in here, in Earth, and for them to understand where we are and try to put everyone as much as we can in the same page as the people that are working in the space segment. For them to hear that, okay, someone that was a chef can now, how she knows all this. This is this. Space is open and we need to occupy this space.
Wonderful, Leka. It was great talking to you. You have so many feathers in your cap. You are an expert of culinary. You have cooked for stars like Tom Cruise. You have been a TEDx speaker. You have now an astronaut mind, and you are spreading the information to the young generation. That's absolutely wonderful. It was nice speaking to you. Thank you so much for giving your time to this podcast series, Women of Space.
Thank you for having me, and I see you around.